So let's start with some general news. On this screen, you see some text describing what we are discussing today, and this text will be provided to you as the minutes of this meeting. So some general news. Sylva has been accepted. The contribution of Sylva has been accepted to the next KubeCon conference, and during this conference there will be, after the telco day, a meeting of all the Sylva participants organized by Guillaume, I believe. Then the second point is the date of the next TSC. The original date was the 19th of April, but this day is just in the middle of the KubeCon conference, and many key people of this project are strongly involved in this conference. So the proposal is to cancel this date and to go to the next one that is at the beginning of May, I suppose. Is there any objection to this proposal?
The next one is the 3rd of May.
The 3rd of May, yes. Okay, there are no objections, so we will cancel the 19th of April. This time we have very few general news, and we can move directly to the progress of the different working group. So I leave the floor to Mathieu for work group number 1.
Thank you. So I would have loved to announce that the V0.1 is available, but it's not yet. It's almost done. We found a small bug yesterday. We like to patch it before releasing, and we need also some little work to do for the packaging. You must know that we are going to release everything in OCI artifacts. So we are going to deliver some OCI artifacts for the V0.1, and we need to experiment the process a little bit more to ensure that all those artifacts are correctly packaged. Anyway, this tagging should happen hopefully tomorrow morning. We'll see. We need to fix the bug I mentioned earlier. And then we can start focusing on what we are going to work on in the V0.2 and collaborate on a specific specification document in order to discuss about the features that we want to introduce in V0.2 and the way to implement it. So for this kind of discussion, we still have the request for evolution, the RFE process. We have 2 drafts for the moment. One concerning admission controller that we need to adopt in order to bump to Kubernetes 1.25. And another one is about supporting bare metal. We already have a lot of component for deploying clusters on top of bare metal servers. Anyway, this is not something that we officially support in V0.1, and we'd like to support it for V0.2. So what I mean by bare metal support is, of course, being able to deploy the Kubernetes clusters on top of bare metal, but also all the requirements that comes with CNFs that need performances. So SRIOV support, new mapping, CPU awareness, this kind of thing. And that's it for the progress and the sharing. We'd like to ask for one decision from the TSC We'd like to add 2 new committers. This is the name of this kind of specific contributor to Sylva that are able to merge the code. We'd like to add Bogdan Burchu and Christian Nanda, who are deeply involved in the development of the stack today. They are providing some great review, and we'd like to be able to integrate them as a core reviewer. So I don't know the process. Do we let this kind of decision at the end of the meeting? Or?
Well, I believe we can decide now. So the proposal is to add 2 new validation reviewer. Validation reviewer is the terminology used in GitLab, but if you look at the charter governing the project, the role is called committers. And the proposal is to add these two people, Bogdan and Christian from Orange, at the group of the committers of the project. Is there some question or any objection to this proposal? I see Luis raising, approving, I believe.
Approving.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Any other comment, question, or maybe someone that don't want to approve? Okay.
Just to explain a little bit our choice also, it is written in the charter that that kind of role is for very active participants in the development of a code, and for us it's main technical contributors, just to have a bit of explanation why we are proposing them.
Okay, it seems that there is a general agreement on the proposal, so we can approve it. There is another point that requires decision about the roadmap. Is this correct?
Yeah. So on this point, you can present the slide. I should not to comment, or I, as you prefer. So I can present the slides. So it was basically also to answer a request from Yone during last TSC from Nokia, and I think we think that it makes definitely sense to share on a regular basis the long-term roadmap on a yearly basis, and we can propose to do it, I don't know, every 2 months, for example, to see how we are progressing and how we can organize the future topic. And basically here we are sharing for a free version, but I think in the next exercise we can add an additional release to help us to define commonly what is the target. What is the technical target? It's the first showing here, so we're going to have a view more on the work group 1 activity, so concerning the development of a stack. Of course, we have to be also compliant with the security work group, and also we are going to integrating in the future the work group for activities around energy optimization. So, as mentioned by Matthew, for the April version, the key focus was on Cap vSphere and Capo, and we have started as a pilot the cast on bare metal, but it's not production grade yet. And we have integrated the way to manage Kubernetes distribution vanilla with kubeadm, and also the RKE2. And we manage the lifecycle management through Cluster API. So this is what we are managing in this version. in the next version, the key focus, as mentioned by my few, is to how we're going to handle the performance topic. So with SRIOV, DPDK, NUMA, and upfront you've got the use case requirements. So it's something we have to align, of course, with Louis. The main use cases we are going to have in this period to gather the different requirements. So one of the key topics is that we have to progress on the cast on bar metal as a production grade elements, and we've got also 6 wind on this call, so it will be much more easy to integrate the acceleration features around this cast on bar metal feature at this version. And what is also important is also to prepare the future. So it's for the moment, it's an open topic, but how are we going to manage the network modelization in cloud native environment, but also the layer 2 VLAN automation? Is it with Sonic? For the VLAN automation, which is a very well-known ecosystem to manage this. For the network modelization, we have the first proposal from Ericsson. We might have some others in the coming weeks, but we have to discuss together what is the best approach. This is for this version. We presented this roadmap yesterday. So since yesterday, we have just this internal discussion. We can see as an option for at Orange level, we are not fully decided. We have not fully validated this option, but we can have maybe external resource to work on the KubeVirt integration, but not only KubeVirt with some DPDK acceleration. So it will enable to have some VNF on the cast on bare metal. So if you have an edge site on cast on bare metal with a lightweight footprint, you can have many CNF and one VNF or two VNF with acceleration. So it's just to answer that kind of use cases. So at the end of this sharing, so I will ask you your feedback. It's just only a go or no go, but it's also to see if the different topics are relevant for you. And the next release, we will integrate more RAN use cases, but also edge use cases. So to manage with this point, it's important to have the requirements of the Cloud RAN in the OS part, but also in the acceleration part with PTP, something like this. It's important also to work on the security, for example, maybe with immutable OS as an option, but we have to discuss together if you have other approach. Of course, as we are speaking about RAN, it's important at the far edge part to optimize energy and performance. So what about having FPGA, for example? But we have some internal tests for the moment, but we have to see together if it's a good option to manage the offloading at the edge. And on security, we have also to speak about having a better isolation with Kata container or liquid metal. We have to define what is the step, but it's open topic. So first, before giving the floor to each member, maybe Matthew, did I say some wrong item, or do you want to add some specific comments?
Nothing specific, but again, this is what we have in mind, but we really want to build an open ecosystem. So don't hesitate to challenge any of those topics or to propose new ones. This is what we see that we have to work on in order to support the STNF that we have in our mind for the moment. But this can definitely be changed.
Okay, so Giuseppe, I'll let you the floor to organize a roundtable of the voting members at first, but of course all can give a point of view of new requirements.
I have a question first. I suppose this version of the roadmap has already been discussed inside the WG1. Is it correct?
Yeah, yesterday, the only modification since yesterday is VNF via KubeVirt and KubeVirt with DPDK. We've done this modification this morning.
Okay. So,
just a precision, and after this, I will send this roadmap also to Andre, because Andre is managing a wonderful slide deck. So our target is to get it up to date.
Okay, so any comment on this roadmap? Any suggestion, proposal, or other?
Yeah, I have one comment. This is Luis Velar de Telefónica. I think it's very appropriate to have these acceleration requirements in place as soon as possible, SRIOV, DPDK, NUMA, because for a distributed environment, basically for data plane related applications, we need data plane accelerations. So I think this is basic, and also the bare metal, because probably distributed, we may want them to have bare metal. So this, I think, this is very appropriate. This, and the KubeVirt with DPDK, this could be a pilot, as we did with the bare metal in the previous release. So I would not say this is the priority. The priority to me is SRIOV and DPDK. And if we can have KubeVirt as a pilot and move it to the next if there's no time to tackle it. So to me, it's okay. I would approve this proposal of having the accelerators and custom bare metal as the first, as the next requirements to be approached. That's all from my part.
So integrate your comment.
Any other comment on this roadmap?
I have one. This is Carlo from team, I think is a good roadmap. I would like to highlight the importance of in the next version in June to be able to properly manage workload clusters, because the focus of Sylva up to now was on the management cluster to create the environment to manage all the distributed clusters. But I think for the usability of the software is important that we define a right way to create and manage the life cycle of the workload cluster where the application have to be installed.
So Carlo, I've highlighted this point as a priority. I think we are all aligned with this.
Okay, any other
You
comment?
confirm that it's a highly priority point also?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Carlo.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comment on the roadmap?
Something that is not mentioned in this slide is about the monitoring. We don't have satisfying in-house, I would say, a monitoring stack for the moment. We need to bring something that allows us to centrally manage the data, the logs, the metrics, the traces that are going to get generated by the workload clusters, but by all the clusters. I was even wondering if it wouldn't make sense to create some dedicated work group about monitoring and data management. Anyway, we do have to have something before the end of the year concerning the monitoring stack, something that is ready for production, I would say.
Just one question for my clarification. So the rows highlighted in green are priorities, but what's the meaning of the color? I mean, blue and black.
Yeah, blue it's more on exploration or pilot, and black it's production grade features.
Okay.
Yeah, can have a legend. I will add a legend.
Okay, fine. Any other comment or question?
I have one comment. How do you think about the upgrading for the Sylva? There are so many components. So is there any holistic solution for the upgrading?
Hopefully, we will be able to rely on the GitOps workflow for managing the upgrade. This is the plan. We didn't have any specific test for that for the moment. This is something that we have to do and test in our CI, being able to upgrade from one version of Sylva to the other. So hopefully this will just be about updating some description documents hosted in a Git server. We have to, of course, define clearly the model, but this is the general idea.
Yes, I think the upgrading scenario will be happened in validation center soon, because after we release 0.1 and then in the validation center, it has to be upgraded to 0.2 in next few months. Yeah. So if there are some networking function are running in the level, should all CNF have to be deployed again?
So on my side, I can tell you that we for sure won't be able to at least test and probably support some upgrade scenario from v0.1 to v0.2, but I'm not even sure about what is the validation center point of view, because it's
in the validation center, when we are going to validate the CNF, we prepare the environment, so the stack, the platform for this CNF. So right now we are using 0.1 as reference because it's the latest one. When 0.2 comes, we will every new network function to be validated from then on, we will use 0.2. If in between we are just in the middle of a validation, we will complete with the one that we have, and maybe if the network function provider deems or thinks is interesting, we can revalidate with the new one. But in the validation center, we plan to have the latest release of the stack for any new network function to be validated. And if a network function wants to be validated in a previous one, we can prepare the environment for that, of course. I don't know, Jan-Ho, was that a response?
Okay, I think that it means that in the validation center, once a new release published, then the Sylva will be reinstalled totally.
Yes.
And the CNF also will be deployed again, or some new CNF to be deployed, but not to upgrade the Sylva in place.
No, only anyone. So imagine that we are right now with 0.1 and we start a validation, and before we finish that, comes a 0.2, initially we will plan to complete the validation for the previous one. If the provider says, I want to be revalidated in the newest, then we will do that. But we will not change it dynamically. So for any network function to be validated, we prepare the environment, and this will be the latest available one.
Okay, I think
Right.
It's not an urgent requirement for the upgrading, but in production, maybe we have to be prepared for that.
In production, yes. The managing upgrades, yes. But as Matthew said, there's tools for that, no? But yes. In production, you may have to change your release, of course. Same as you have to change your Kubernetes.
Okay.
But Joang, as you
Thank you.
mentioned, we want to be production grade. That kind of question needs very clear answers in the coming weeks. Okay, Andre is asking.
Yes, please, Andre.
Yes, just on the part of the monitoring, because this is important when after having the deployment, this will touch also in terms of the energy of how do you have the energy consumption. So we need to see if we create a new group or we see merge or what we can do. I think this needs some discussion, and I think it's a very important point raised today to tackle this part. Also to reply in terms of Sylva and scope, the scope of Sylva is here to develop this platform. Then of course it needs to be maintained by the people that adopted. But we are when we want everyone to be comfortable with these and of course to manage the platform. Any new release, as Luis was saying, is like Kubernetes. So you have a new release, you will update on your side. The major change will, of course, will be now in the beginning, but then the major releases will not have this kind of cadence that we are having right now. So consider this as an open source platform as you have for other parts. And I think Luis' example of Kubernetes is a good one because you have a lot of versioning also there.
Thank you, Andre. Maybe Giuseppe, in the minutes we can record the fact that we probably need a dedicated technical workshop on monitoring, including what do we want to do to manage the lifecycle management of a stack, but also integrating the requirements of the energy work group.
Yeah, I was mentioning a work group, but it only makes sense if there are people interested in collaborating about this stack. Otherwise, we will have to pick one by ourselves.
My point, yes, was that at the end of the meeting we can have a recommendation to have a dedicated work group or not, but just starting on what do we want to do in the future as a first, concretely, what are the options, who can work on it, and then decide if we need to launch a new work group or not. Yeah, it was my proposal.
Yes, we need probably some discussion on this topic before starting a new work group to understand if there are people available to work in this work group. So I believe that the proposal to have a workshop or something like that on the topics to understand what we should do and who can do it is the good starting point.
I can manage the point. You can put the action on my head.
Okay. Okay. Any other question or comment on the roadmap?
Can you have a roundtable at least of the voting member? Of course, all can react, but at least at the voting member part. So I've heard about Telecom Italia. Luis, okay.
Okay, I'm okay.
Telefonica is okay. Telecom Italia is okay. Then Orange.
Orange, okay.
Of course. Can you follow the other?
Vodafone.
Vodafone, yes.
Yeah, we are fine with this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, then Ericsson.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay, and we have also Nokia, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So the question was that is it okay to establish a new work stream for the monitoring? Right. Yes, it is okay. There are maybe.
The question was not on this part. Yeah, it was on the roadmap.
If you are okay with the current roadmap.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, it is very good to have visibility
yes.
on this high level for the roadmap. Maybe some things. This is very high level, and some things are a bit still unclear that what is the schedule for some things, but I assume that we have some basic things already present. What is not mentioned, like backup and restore, or some other basic capabilities. But anyway, very good that we have this available.
Okay, so I believe we can approve. I missed some company. I believe not.
Seems okay.
Seems okay. So I believe we can approve this version of the roadmap, and we plan to update it. When we do plan to update it, every 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, which was the proposal.
Yeah, or at least sharing, even if we have no big change, we can just say that we are in line, or if we have some difficulties or new ideas. I think it's a good point to share it oftenly. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Anyway,
and Uni, if you can also share it to Yone because it was his question, so I think he will appreciate.
yes, of course. So the roadmap will be discussed in details, of course, in WG1, and we will update it regularly and look at it during the next. And we will update it, and for each update we will present it during the TSC in order to give visibility to the roadmap to all the participants. Okay, if we don't have other topics in WG1, I propose to move to WG2. I will share again my screen.
Okay, I can see now.
Okay, so the floor to Luis.
Yes, in WG2, no much progress really, and actually we have gone one step back. We had issues deploying the Nokia UDM due to some timeouts, so we have came up with a plan of reinstalling the platform with the latest version, actually the 0.1, that is an improvement, and actually it's easier to deploy. We are using the latest scripts, and we are in the onboarding progress again. So we have gone one step back, but anyway, it will help us. We have also in these last 2 weeks included some additional element, which is we have been evaluating how to include also the CNCF compliancy as part of a CNF validation. So before we enter into a validation, we want to confirm that the CNF follows is compliant with the CNCF conformance. So we have evaluated that this is feasible. So now we are checking how to leverage and use exactly the same scripts as exist in the CNCF and incorporate them in the validation process. And then we have identified that the 6-wind CNF, that is the second one that we had in the backlog, requires mandatorily the SRIOB. So without SRIOB, actually it's not worth it to test it. So we have stopped that. Everything was ready to start with this new one, but we have stopped that because the platform does not have SRIOB. So this is one of the reasons why we promote the roadmap that has been proposed. So in June, we will reconvene with 6-wind FESR to run the validation with this capability. So status right now, we have reinstalled the platform and we are still working with the first CNF. So not much progress. That's all. There's nothing to say really relevant, and there's nothing to decide right now because the stopping of the 6-wind is nothing to decide. We have to do it because we cannot test it without the capability. So that's all about the working group 2.
Okay, thank you. Any question on this working group? Okay, it seems there are no questions, so we can move to WG3 on security requirements, and I leave the floor to Guillaume.
Yeah, so Phil has updated this section, so I think it was a question of Uni. Don't forget backup and restore. So definitely on the EU CS requirements, that kind of requirements are mandatory, and we have started to describe. We already described what are those requirements. So it's that kind of requirement will progressively also be added to the work group 1 as not only requirement but also technical implementation. And the team now is working on the logging and monitoring features. And here the monitoring is not only the alerting part, it's also how we're going to manage the security alerts. So it's both usage. So that's it. And the last point on the sharing part is that we are currently analyzing also the equivalence of the EUCS certification scheme and the GAIA-X label. And there's a deep per requirement analysis which is in progress by the team. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any question on this working group? No question. So let's move to WG4 or on energy efficiency. I believe that Sundara is not in this meeting. So Guillaume, can you comment this?
Yeah. Or is there a participant to this group? I think that Carlo is also participating to this one.
But we didn't have any meeting. We canceled the next meeting because it's close to Easter. So I don't see any particular update with respect to the discussion that we had during the last TSC, where we agreed to have an exchange of information between VG1 and VG4.
Yeah, and in the next action, we just I had a discussion with Sundara. Is also to work with the Cloudrun use case, where we see that it's an important use case in terms of energy consumption, and also align on how we're going to have the server consumption. So this is where we're going to involve the, of course, vendors, sorry, to help us on this point.
Okay, any question on this working group? No question. So let's move to WG5, that is on communication and adoption. I would ask to Andre to comment this work group and also to give some update about the onboarding section we had last week.
Thank you. So in terms of this working group, one of the progress was the onboarding that we performed on the 29th. It was last week. It went really well. We presented to a lot of companies. We want to continue to do these onboardings. This is important in order to increase not only the adoption but also the support for this working group, as this is an open source project. And also some news in terms of the new deck is available, as Guillermo was saying. We want, and I think we can ask today everyone, if anyone objects to begin to share the slides in PDF, of course, to everyone that we see that is relevant to know about the project. If no one's objects, I think this is the question. So if anyone is objecting to share the slides. Okay, as you know, the slides and the deck, they will be constantly being updated. So they will have an update today with the roadmap. and this will be the version that we'll share. Another part in terms of governance and to guarantee that everything is aligned in the beginning, and since the slides are going to change a bit right now, I will ask you if you want the latest version to drop me an email. We also have a SharePoint site, but it's not working properly, so the access is not working really well. So as a workaround for now, if you want the slides or the latest version to drop me an email, and I send you immediately. Also, we are having here and to have merchandising on Sylva. If everyone wants stickers and so on, we are going to do that. I think it's always cool to have on the laptop saying that we are on Sylva and so on. This will also, in terms of people that are going to participate in events, it's also important to share it. And as next steps, what we are going to do is to create the script from GitLab YouTube channel for the interview. The interview is going to be a 15-minute presentation of the project. GitLab YouTube has some reach. It's going to be also important to include people a bit outside of our normal adopters or that want for this. We remind that Sylva is not only for the operators, other people also will consume it. And of course, when operators think about the other new business to have, and a new ecosystem can grow on this. So this is also important to promote on these platforms, and the onboarding sessions that are going to be on the next sessions with the potential companies. It will be on the week of 10th of May, but more on the end of the week, because at the beginning I will be out of office. But this to begin to schedule these the next onboarding sessions, we are gathering a quorum and including that and suggesting a date to everyone, but with advance. Any comment, any doubt, any concern?
Do you have any specific price for the co-chairs for the hoodies?
It's under Linux. So to explain how this is done. So this is not for us to win money. So basically, this is a marketplace. We don't put any markup on the clothes, and it's just to have some vendors from clothes that do the printing and so on. So if anyone wants to rock a sweater or to have a sticker on the laptop, we can have it there.
Okay. Well, my only comment is that the onboarding session was, in my view, quite successful. We had many companies attending it. And also the quality of the slide we have today is quite good. They clearly express which are the objectives of the project and why we wanted to launch this project and how we are working to find these objectives. Is there any other comments or question on this work group?
One comment.
Yes.
Do we have one channel in YouTube? We have recorded a lot of videos, but I cannot find some specific channel for Sylva.
But this is a good point, because this will be published on GitLab YouTube. If you don't have access to YouTube, we can promote. Do you have access to Vimeo?
I cannot find some channel in YouTube. Just like Nephew, they have some dedicated channel for all video related to Sylva.
Channel.
Yes, channel.
Sorry.
Yeah.
a dedicated channel. Yes,
Yeah.
we are going to create that on LinkedIn. Firstly, well, it's been discussed, but we don't need a Twitter. But on LinkedIn, it's important, and we will have that. We are communicating that with the Linux Foundation because they have the marketing team that is helping us on that. Yes, it's not here, but we are aligning that to create a channel.
Yeah,
Okay,
and for the moment, for example, the TSC are in my personal YouTube channel, so it's private link. It's not indexed link. So this is the next step that has been shared today by Andre. It's how we can have a professional way to share this information and to promote it. So thanks, Andre, for this.
Yes, because we are
yes.
the marketing team from Linux Foundation is helping us. But there was some topics, but it's an action point that we have there to create it, and they will help us. The first one is LinkedIn, but LinkedIn will have. If we can have a YouTube. Let's see if we have the contact to put there. But but LinkedIn for sure will have it. And a channel is also GitLab, the GitLab website that we have. So always information that is available and official from Sylva, it's on GitLab with frequently asked questions, with the white paper. Everything is there, and it's here on this chat. I can repost also the message for Theophil.
Okay, any other question on this? No other questions. I believe we have no update about governance. Is it correct, Guillaume?
Yeah, there's still ongoing discussion about direct fund, and we will update the status when we will have a sufficient progress to share to all of you.
Okay, so we completed all the topics of this TSC. Do you have any other comments, question, or other topic to discuss? It seems not, so thank you very much, and see you next TSC.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice holiday.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.